flies on the bombing run.
Doors open. Doors open. Left, left. Steady.
Crews must fly straight and level and time their release perfectly. It makes them sitting ducks.
And the task facing a young crew, looking at this maelstrom of flak and searchlights and aircraft exploding and perhaps the night fighter coming in, it was pretty overwhelming.
Bomb's going.
They face wave after wave of German fighters, whilst flak and anti-aircraft rounds fill the air with lead.
I used to put my seat right down and concentrate on the instruments and try not to look at, well, what's the point of looking out? I was flying this damn thing.
You've got no choice. As long as the bomb aimer is lining up his target, you are yourself a target, and you've really got no choice but to endure it.
Thousands of crew members are lost in vain. In 1941, a British report reveals that only 1 in 4 aircraft actually managed to drop its bombs within 5 miles of its target. But one American scientist, B.F. Skinner, believes he has the answer. He thinks he can design the holy grail of guided bombs, a so-called fire-and-forget weapon that can be launched from a safe distance and then guide itself accurately to the target. And he has set his sights on one of the most challenging of all targets: ships. Ships are difficult to bomb. From the air, they're small and a moving target.
In the 20 to 30 seconds it'll take that bomb to drop, the ship will move. Those targets are particularly difficult to hit.
The only option is to fly in low, but there's far more danger of being shot down, and still the chances of success are small. Skinner's bomb will need to track a ship all the way to impact, and his answer is extraordinary. B.F. Skinner is no ordinary scientist. He's an animal behaviorist, and he believes that in the search for a smart bomb, the humble pigeon could be the perfect guidance system. They have exceptional eyesight. Their brains process visual information much faster than a human's, and most importantly, they can be trained.
The development and discovery that Skinner is most known for is operant conditioning.
Skinner's theory of operant conditioning is the basis of most forms of animal training. It shows how an animal's behavior can be changed by rewarding it.
So what Skinner brought to us was an understanding of how a pigeon could be in some way shaped to perform various different types of actions simply by pairing those actions with some kind of reinforcing or rewarding event, such as food.
In this way, Skinner teaches his pigeons ever more complex tasks, even how to play ping pong, and how to distinguish between different shapes made by lights, pecking only the lights that provide a reward.
One of Skinner's great insights was to realise that it doesn't just have to be a light that's going to be paired with food, it can be anything you want it to be.
Even a battleship. Skinner thinks he could train a pigeon to peck at a target ship and design a bomb that allows those pecks to steer it. It may seem eccentric now, but in World War II the limits of innovation were pushed in every conceivable way to gain an advantage over the enemy.
When you think of harnessing creatures in this crazy way, you might think, well, why would anybody give money? But you've got to bear in mind that at the time, America wanted to throw everything possible at the enemy.
If somebody comes and says, I can tell you how a pigeon can drop a bomb on a target for you, what are you going to say? Find out if it's possible.
Skinner gets $25,000 to turn a pigeon into a guided missile. But for this bomb to hit a ship, the birds will have to be able to track a moving target. Skinner begins training his birds to follow a simple dot, rewarding them just as before when they get it right. It works. And crucially, he's able to show that once trained, a pigeon can track a moving object even when subjected to the noise of explosions and rapid descent. Next, Skinner develops a special nose cone for his pigeon-guided bomb. The plan is to load 3 birds into their own pressurized chambers.
Skinner placed pigeons in a sock, which to a degree restrained the movements of the animal so it couldn't wander off, flap its wings around, but it still had good space to move his head around and peck, importantly, on a circular screen which was located within the nose cone of the missile.
Lenses and mirrors would project an image of the target ship from the front of the bomb onto this translucent screen. Inside its pressurized chamber, the pigeon begins to peck at this projected image of the target. As it does so, 4 valves translate its pecks into electrical signals, which are then sent to the control fins of the bomb.
If it pecked dead centre, where, for example, the battleship might be, then the course of the missile would go uncorrected. But if the missile started to go off course, then the image would also shift and the pecking of the pigeon would follow it.
As the pigeon pecks off centre, the valves send corresponding signals to the bomb's fins that steer it back towards the target and bring the ship's image back to the centre of the screen. In effect, this allows the pigeon, albeit unknowingly, to fly the missile all the way to its target. Skinner even builds a flight simulator to test the pigeon's flying skills, and as this footage shows, they perform perfectly.
He had very, very tight control over his animal's behaviour. He also controlled the environment in which the animal was going to be placed upon. So he could, I think, with a reasonable degree of certainty, expect the project to succeed.
Prototype bombs are built and legions of pigeons prepared. Mass production of the weapons is primed to start in just 30 days. But despite Skinner's success, in 1944, the military shuts the program down.
Unfortunately, I think the reason why it never was ultimately used is not because of the psychology of pigeons, but because of the psychology of people. It's very, very difficult to place one's trust in a pigeon